Gentlemen, I brought my sons camping and hiking at Caprock Canyon State Park, Quitaque, Texas. They thought that they were having a fun time out with their dad, and they did have that, but what they didn't know was that they were in a watch review video.
Alright guys, we were sleeping in the tent last night. Every time I rolled over, both of these watches have that auto illuminate feature. It lit up the tent. You guys see that last night?
Yeah.
Was it blinding? So both of these have that auto illuminate feature, and both of them are very bright. But the Mudman, the light doesn't stay on when you press the buttons. GBD-H2000 has that great feature where you turn on the light and you can press all your buttons that you want and the light stays on. Did someone get the timer going to see how long this water is going to take? There they are. We start the day off right. Ghost Energy Watermelon Warheads.
So you can see that the two watches I'm comparing are the G-Shock GBD-H2000 against the brand new Mudman, the Casio G-Shock GW-9500. Two rugged outdoor watches, some slightly, a few differences that I highlight in our time on the trail.
Alright, where we're camping, you can't really see the sunrise. Here, Steve, hold this. But when you fire up the Mudman GW-9500, you press the mode button once and it says sun. So this is what the almanac abbreviated by sun. So it says 7:04 is when the sunset is. So we'll back out of it by holding the mode button again. And so in 1 minute the sun's going to rise. So looks like it's on track. Now the GBD-H2000, we want to get to the almanac, we're going to have to press a number of buttons. Alright, let me get to that almanac. Oh, went by it. Fortunately, go the other way. It says 7:04 the sunrise, and it has the local time at the bottom. Now as you can see, the visibility is actually a lot better on the GBD-H2000, because on the GW-9500 there's an overlay screen, which right now at sunrise it's not that bright, kind of hard to see the screen.
And by the way, Caprock Canyon State Park is an underrated park. We had the whole place to ourselves. We had a fantastic time. Lots of bugs out, I guess from the unusual rainfall, but lots of bugs. A lot of them were biting us the whole time. Bird-sized flies.
Alright, there's a creep in the tent spying on me with binoculars. I'm going to talk a little bit about the comfort level. And guys, I got this on the last notch, 8.5-inch wrists. And the band's digging in, the wings are pinching my hair. So the Mudman GW-9500, it's uncomfortable. I just woke up and I already am tired of wearing this watch. GBD-H2000 still feels spot on. It's still pushed up on my wrist and zero fatigue. I wore this all night in exactly this position. So the GBD-H2000, amazing comfort level. So comfortable it makes up for a lot of other deficiencies in the software of the watch, which infuriate me, but still the comfort's amazing. So the GW-9500 has that, tried and true design. It's, from a Pro Trek. Very elegant and optimized, let's say, but is it worth it at this? Look at it, you can see the red mark on my wrist. It's pinching my wrist right where the keeper is. The keeper's plastic, by the way, which is good. But anyways, we gotta get all these kids up and going. We gotta load up our backpacks and hit the trail. That creep is still looking at me. Alright, our trail communication. I got the Yaesu, my radio, and then I got another radio for our other licensed ham radio operators so we can communicate on the trail. And in typical Bofang fashion, this knob got bumped. It got turned on, unbeknownst to us, in the tent last night, and now it's dead. Okay, so our communication shot. That's the problem with this Bofang. It's a serious problem. Is that it turns on, you don't even know it, and your batteries are dead.
So Caprock Canyon has a herd of bison, and you got to stay 50 yards away from them and respect them from a distance. So that's pretty cool. Anyways, this is kind of a cursory look at the two watches. Compare and contrast. Obviously we'll go into further detail in upcoming videos, but I topped off the power to the GBD-H2000, plugged it in before we left, and the GW-9500 has that tough solar. Wasn't worried at all about the batteries, but we're just doing a quick look, and obviously I wasn't prepared because I didn't calibrate the altimeter, and I don't have the Bluetooth hooked up to the GBD-H2000. We're just going with the watches as they come out of the box. So, sit back and enjoy the ride.
Alright, here's a buffalo holding up the whole road right in the steep incline. And this Toyota pickup stuck behind him, and he's going as slow as he wants to go. All y'all ready? Let's go. The problem with this GBD-H2000 is that there's no hiking or expedition mode. So I'm going to use the trail running feature. And I charged up the batteries yesterday. So I'm going to use the trail running feature while hiking here, the Haynes Ridge. So this should tell us, with the GPS is going right now, will tell us how far we've hiked and the elevation gain. Okay. The GW-9500 does not have a GPS, but it does have an altimeter. All right, I get this GW-9500 set. This is the elevation rat, and according to its sensors, it's 2,255 feet above sea level. We're actually in the bottom of the canyon, and we're going to be hiking up the Haynes Ridge, so we're going to be gaining that much elevation. And you look at the top of the screen, let me see if I can get it, you can see it. It says +5. Well, we've gained 5 feet since I reset the differential, and we'll see how many feet of elevation we gain from the bottom of the canyon to the top. Actually, we're gonna see whether we even make it. This journey's treacherous. There's cactus. There's brutal sun, brutal heat. It's a desert. It's a little bit humid today for the desert. And there's the huge burden of being an overweight middle-aged man. All right, so on the GBD-H2000, the GPS finally got a reading. So we're gonna start this one by pressing the enter button. All right, this one's going. So this one will show us our elevation gain, also a stopwatch, and show us how far we've walked. So I'm going to use a trail running feature while hiking. Here we go. This whole place is surreal.
Is this the one that we do with Papa?
Yeah. This is like, it's like we're hiking on Mars, kinda. There's red dirt and bizarro vegetation. crazy creatures. Alright guys, so we had to hit the trail early because it gets dangerously hot in this canyon. Each of these watches, you know, they have alarms. And I don't think either one you could really depend on to wake you up, okay? But in terms of the alarms, the GBD-H2000 has a vibration alarm, so it can beep and vibrate. That will get your attention a little bit more than the GW-9500, which only has the beep for the alarm. But the alarms, you can set the alarm in just by pressing mode a few times to get to the alarms. The frustrating thing about the GBD-H2000 is that the alarms are in settings, so you have to long press a button to get to the settings menu and then do a lot of scrolling to find the alarms.
Are we supposed to go that way?
Oh yeah, look, we gotta go this way. All right, guys. Haynes Ridge Overlook Trailhead. We've done this before, and it's difficult. You can see that we're going to be gaining some elevation. How much? Well, according to the GW-9500, you've gained 25 feet of elevation since the parking lot. So right here we're at 2,275 feet. You gotta climb all the way up there. And the GBD-H2000. Ah, there's a bug biting me. Ah, look at that thing. All right, anyways. I'll have to scroll through the menus, but the cool thing about the trail running feature of the GBD-H2000 is that it can show you elevation gain too. I can't do it one-handed, so I'm gonna have to have a kid hold the camera for me. Hey, can you guys hold the camera for a sec? All right, so this is the main screen of the trail running, and this is recording my heart rate and the ascent. It says right here, our ascent is 80 feet so far, and this says 25, so we're a little bit off. And this altitude is off too. I haven't calibrated these, so it's unfair for me to compare the accuracy. This was kind of a rush trip, but anyways. Next screen shows our distance and split time. Our distance, split time again. All right. So this shows us gaining and losing elevation with this ruler on the side, and this is a compass. Okay. And this is my heart rate right now. Definitely looks like it's more than 75 feet. So, me and my middle two sons going about the same pace. My two oldest sons are gone. They run up these hills like they're nothing. And like I was at Guadalupe Mountain, and I was, you know, ready to die. A lot of people are offering to give me medical assistance. I kept on going, but they were like, "Oh, did you see those guys running?" I'm like, "Yeah, those are my boys running up the mountain." And I was complaining about that to my dad. I was telling him about how I try to go hiking with my older sons, and I only see them at the beginning and at the end where they're waiting for me. My dad laughed at me, and apparently I did that too when I was younger. So you can see the trail, like the main trail winds around there. Actually, I take that back. The main trail goes this direction, and the side trail for the Haynes Ridge, which we're on, is right there. All right, we made it to the top, and it feels like a mountain, but we didn't climb a mountain, we just climbed out of the canyon. All right, so out here in West Texas, they have Caprock. We climbed from up the Caprock. So, oh man, I'm bleeding. Must be from those. Oh yeah, GBD-H2000 says we climbed 500 feet. GW-9500 says we climbed 430 feet. All right, now we're hiking along the ridge. Definitely not as difficult now. It's kind of smooth sailing. Beautiful views. And right now it's not too hot, so you can enjoy the hike. This is where you want to have pants like Brian. Oh, did you step on a... What happened? Where?
On my foot.
That was in your shoe? All this vegetation around here is sharp, very nasty, inhospitable. It's much better to have pants like Brian than shorts like me. I'm getting torn up hiking through this. Alright, in this exercise mode, the compass, there's a bug biting me. There's a compass screen. So the GBD-H2000 is showing me the compass. And to get to the compass on the GW-9500 as its own dedicated button. Alright, so boom, we hit the compass and there's a LCD overlay that's purple, and the 3 rays are pointing towards north and the single rays are pointing towards east, south, and west. Alright, so we'll hold them together and you can see that seems like they're calibrated pretty well. He's elongating his shorts. While we're stopping, might as well get some of that trail mix out, huh? Uncle Mike loves this stuff. He would have eaten it all by now. Got like 2 or 3 different flavors of trail mix. And I knew this would be the only one that everybody eats. Alright, let's keep going, guys. The GBD-H2000 is ticking away. It's timing us. It's telling us our time and also how far we've hiked. So we've gone 2 miles so far, an hour and a half. GW-9500, of course, does not have any information about the distance we've hiked. It can just show us a differential for the elevation we've gained, which says 500 feet. Alright, this is the GBD-H2000 is also telling me my pace, which I think I'm walking about 3 miles an hour. It's flat right here, but it's saying I'm doing a 20-minute mile. These cactus are like right on the trail. So, very wise to wear pants when visiting here. Very foolish to wear shorts like me. Look at that one. So close. We hiked along the Haynes Ridge, and now we descend to the Fern Cave at the lowest point of this area of the canyon. There's a cave. We just gotta hike down. I'll distract the flies. So before we descend, I just wanted to show you that GW-9500 is showing that we gained a total of 605 feet of elevation, maybe a little bit more because I've come down this far, at 2,855 feet above sea level. This shows that we've gained 820 feet of elevation. I think that this is more accurate based on what I know about the elevation around here. But again, this is an accuracy test. I've not calibrated the GW-9500. But I just wanted to show you what the readings are before we descend back into the valley. You can see the cave. But this is a low point here. And look at this, it's like an oasis. This is the cave. Alright, right, this is getting kind of annoying looking at the differential. So I'm gonna set it just to be a graph. All right, so we're gonna adjust it from differential to the graph, okay? So now it will give us a graphical readout about our elevation gain or loss. You know, we went down into the cave from the main trail, and now we have to hike back up. The GBD-H2000 has a similar feature in its altimeter, but I don't have it on altimeter now. During this hike, we're just keeping it on the trail running function. Ghost Energy Redberry. The redder, the better. So hiking with a GW-9500, it doesn't have a GPS. It's not going to tell you how far you've walked. It doesn't have a step count or anything, but it has an altimeter. And so this is the most interesting screen for me when hiking, is showing you the altitude. And at the top I have it set for the graph. It shows a graphical representation of the altitude you've gained or lost as you've gone along. So you can see that I've been descending, you know, for the time period of the graph. And I think that that's the most interesting screen to have it on, because, you know, right now I'm going at a pretty good clip. I've almost caught up to the boys, right? They're right around the corner, I'm telling you. But anyways, that's why I'm going so fast. It's because I'm going downhill. And I just chugged a Ghost energy drink. I'm over 40. I'm allowed to drink energy drinks while hiking, okay? So you can have that top screen to be set to your feet to show you the numerical value of the elevation you've gained or lost. And that would be interesting if you were ascending to a summit like Guadalupe Mountain, so that you could see how many feet that you've gained, which is pretty interesting. But in a hike like this, you know, we ascended up the canyon, walked along the ridge, and then descended to the fern cave, and then ascended back up to the main trail. It's more interesting to see the graph, in my opinion, because we aren't gaining that many feet, and you'd have to know right when to look at the altimeter to see exactly how many feet you've gained or lost before it changes. And it sure is beautiful out here. So on the GBD-H2000, we have this on the trail running workout, and I've been letting it roll for this whole time. And the sweat management on the GBD-H2000 is terrific. It's a nice lightweight watch. It's really comfortable to wear. It's amazing how comfortable this watch is. And even though it's bulky, it's a very thick watch, okay? It's very light. And so while hiking, you know, you want lightness. You want stuff to be that you're carrying to weigh as little as possible. And the GBD-H2000 fits that bill. I mean, who wants to hike all the way up here with a really heavy watch that's going to weigh down one side of your body, right? Now the GW-9500 Mudman, the sweat management is not as good. The band is a lot more rugged and stiffer, so the sweat management isn't as good. It's more stifling. It's not terrible, but it does have wings, okay, which can be a little bit of annoying while hiking. I mean, every little bit of friction of whatever you're carrying adds up as you're hiking. Like, you could have a shoelace tied incorrectly and
it doesn't really matter if you're walking a mile, but after 3 or 4 miles in, it's really annoying. So the GW-9500, I'm not gonna act like it's a huge watch that's weighing me down, but in terms of fit, GBD-H2000 is winning on this hike. But it's very rugged. You got no worries about smashing into the rocks on the side of the trail or into trees or bushes. It's guarded really well with the crenellations. So I'm not worried about the screen scratching either. But a scratch screen doesn't bother me as much as it does other people, I'll tell you that much. But the little points of friction on the band and the wings are bothering me. Anyways, look, this is some really crazy mineral that's here in Caprock Canyon. And there's some really good specimens of this mineral here. I'm not going to chip any away because it's eroding on its own, but I'll pick up some that's already been chipped. Look at that. You could break it. There's cleavage points. It does not taste like asbestos. I think it's gypsum, but not sure. On the GBD-H2000, I charge it up at home before this trip. And the GPS does take really big bites out of the battery. And so you can save a little bit of battery life by going through the settings and having the GPS sample your coordinates less frequently, which of course is exactly what you want to do when hiking as opposed to trail running. It does have solar power, solar charging, but if you were going on a long backpacking trip, you would have to plug it in eventually if you had the heart rate monitor on all the time and the GPS as you were hiking through the day. Okay, so if you had the heart rate monitor on all the time, but we're not using the GPS while hiking, then the watch battery would probably last about a week, assuming you got plenty of sunlight. And these are ballpark figures. But if you were running the GPS to see exactly how much you were hiking during the day, I think you could probably only get, 2 or 3 days maybe. I'm just guessing here, but it would be a matter of days before you'd have to plug it in. So you'd need a separate source of power if you were going to use this on a hiking expedition. All right. The Mudman GW-9500, everything can operate totally off of solar power. You'd never need to charge it. It doesn't have a GPS or step counter, heart rate monitor, or anything. Just the clock, the altimeter, barometer, and compass. So you would never have to worry about batteries if you wore this out in the sun every day. It would be charged to do, the battery would be charged up enough to do everything this watch does. This one would need charging depending on your activities, as I just explained, but you should also know that the solar charging is just assisting the watch. I think that the solar power is totally self-sufficient for just the clock, so just to tell the time. But the solar power, I don't even think it can keep up with the altimeter, barometer, and compass. Okay, and that's a subject of another video that you can watch about the battery life on these solar assist watches. But I mean, it might be like a whole month. Say if you would never use a GPS or the heart rate monitor, just time, altimeter, barometer, and compass. I'm gonna say that it would last a few months with enough sunlight, but even then, eventually, you need to plug it in. All right, and a lot of this is a working hypothesis. More testing is needed, but the bottom line is that for the full functionality of this watch, if you were to bring it backpacking, like on an expedition, you would need a power source to charge it eventually when using it to its fullest. And you have no such worry on the Mudman. It's solar tough solar, which means it can be completely charged by the sunlight. And hiking, I think even in the winter, you could probably get enough sunlight. All right, did the loop, the GBD-H2000. So I'm gonna press enter to stop this workout, and we're gonna save it, and we can look at the information, which is that we hiked 6.73 miles, so about 6 3/4 miles, in a time of about 4 hours. Burned up plenty of fat and carbohydrates that we'll have to replace. And our pace, we stopped a lot, but the pace was pretty slow. And here's the interesting part. We ascended 220 or 1,220 feet and descended by a little bit more, and the difference is the fact that I didn't start this right away. The thing about the GBD-H2000 for hiking, you have to use a trail running feature for the information about the distance that you hiked, and it hasn't even taken out one battery for half a day, or one bar of the battery for half a day of hiking. And I kept it on the Mudman. I kept it on the altimeter most of the time. I didn't have to use a barometer or the compass at all because it was a short hike on a trail. But this was a very durable watch, and it's good knowing that if needed, you have the compass to help you find your direction. So there you go. We'll have a more in-depth review coming up, but right now we got to go take a dunk over here in the pond and cool off, and then go back home because these boys have to go to football practice, believe it or not. All right, let's go.